left, right.
Yo, what is up, and welcome to episode 106 of SipTalk. Today we are talking about the future and the past. So give it a listen. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you read the book 1984, and I will see you on the flip side. This is SipTalk. Grab a drink and enjoy.
Of course, let's go.
Cheers.
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 This is episode 106 of SipTalk. Thank you guys for joining
like that
me.
one, Durf?
Yeah, I know. It's funny when you can tell that you're already 6 in.
Oh, 4.
James has got a head
you-
start on us. Let me introduce on the bottom, if you're watching live, James the Bosnator Boswell out of Charleston, South Carolina, philosopher, accountant, bartender extraordinaire, and last but not least, referee. Above me, if you're watching live, David Boswell, sibling of the true Bosnator, but not designated a Bosnator. David,
Until he dies an untimely death, in which case he inherits it all.
David is in Sacramento, California. Today, we're going to be talking about 1984, a date that predates all of us, David by the most. But not. We have Rash Galeb. I think Rash was about 40 in 1984. He can correct me on that, but I'm probably give or take a couple of years. But Rash, I'm sure, remembers this pretty well. 1984 was a story based on this futuristic government oversight dystopian society.
Who was it written by?
Is that Orwell?
I'm surprised he got it right.
Yeah, I don't read.
Waiting for that. I was wondering why you were asking. It's like, oh, I know why.
No, I think, yeah, no shit. But I've read the book. If there's a movie, I haven't seen it. I don't think unless we watched it in English class in high school. But definitely a text consumption that was very difficult for me. No, definitely
it's
not.
Like 184 pages.
Yeah, but I don't have attention span. I don't read fiction.
Most things.
You know, so but what I want to get into, I want to run a couple of things by you guys, and I want your reactions here. Because this coronavirus had me thinking about this today. I stumbled across this AI article and got me thinking. So I made some notes. I'm curious right off the bat. Let me ask you this. Why are there not speed regulators on cars? Why can you?
There will be.
Why can you buy a Honda Accord and leave the lot and do 125 miles an hour down the freeway? How is that possible? How does government allow for that?
There are times that you just sometimes need to go 125 miles an hour down the freeway after leaving the lot. I don't know.
Well, first off, if you're buying a brand new car, you don't want to hit the 120 mile an hour mark. You got to break in the car.
5,000 miles.
You need
at least five.
I would say at least 2,500, at least 3,000, and an oil change before you're pushing the engine that far. 5,000 to me is like,
I might say 2 oil changes because you're still going to get a little bits of metal coming
I would agree with you. The 2 oil changes. I'm
be safe.
I'm saying if you were dying to do 125 miles an hour in your Accord coupe, hopefully it's a coupe, not the 4-door, because I mean, if you're buying a 4-door car and pushing it to over 120, like, I don't know.
I'm laughing at the text.
Yeah, that's
for
not gonna
Raj.
happen.
So also we're gonna trial a call-in feature.
Not if you don't make Rash admin.
Rosh is admin, by the way. Rosh is admin already.
He would,
Allegedly.
yeah, he would dispute your claim.
So the number to text if you want to call in is 212-239-1839. If you send a text message to 212-239-1839, we can bring you on as a call-in. But we're going to
I can't see any way in which this goes badly.
let's go over some drinks. David up top, what are you drinking?
Well, because James had a head start, I decided to try to catch up quickly. This is a Sierra Nevada Optimum Triple IPA, 11% beer, which is understandably pretty strong.
Yeah.
Wow. I got to get my hands on this stuff.
I've got 24 ounce of Gatorade to like offset that.
I got to get my hands on this Sierra Nevada. You got to send me a picture of that label because I don't know if they're shipping it over here.
It's pretty good. Also, you should know, Justin, that next week and the week following, next week I actually can't do it. I'm going to be at a fancy dinner thing. But the week after, I can try and call in from San Diego. Sunny San Diego.
Sunny San Diego. It's always sunny where you are, David. When we start on time.
Well, because I made better choices than you guys who stayed on the East Coast.
So James, you said it's going to be illegal. I agree. It's going to be illegal very soon. I've done some pretty illegal speeds.
Worse than me by far.
Yeah, probably. And I'm always surprised that like that can actually happen. One, I'm always surprised that the car gets going that fast. And high speed is a dangerous. Traveling that fast, you might as well be in a fucking jet engine on the highway because you get from point A to point ZZ faster than you could imagine. Very dangerous. Would not recommend doing it. Why are you saying it's going to be illegal?
Because so much about cars is being regulated, and I would be really surprised if with electric vehicles, I wouldn't be surprised if once a true nationwide broadband or whatever were introduced, that they wouldn't make it so that cars are going to have some kind of always on feature in regards to online. And they're going to be able to monitor your speeds, and you're going to be limited to some speed. Now, it might not necessarily be the speed limit, but
here's where I'll give red states a couple points for their just general fuck you towards the federal government of them just saying, you know what? Nope, we're not going to let that happen. Texas, you can just do whatever. So they won't participate.
Well, now
might cut into it.
Is it still legal to not wear a seatbelt in New Hampshire, where their state motto is "Live free or die"?
Well, and you know what? They're on brand.
I just feel like their state prisons are kind of contraindicated.
Yeah, especially since that's where they print the license plates.
They make them sharp around the edges. Hey, if you really want to end it, go ahead.
So tonight, we're for those of you who are joining us, we're talking about 1984, a futuristic dystopian past world that might happen again in the past of the future. But I want to get into some pros and cons of government monitoring.
What are the pros?
Well, I want to run this by you. This phrase: isolation equals health.
No.
Why not? You can't be exposed to germs and viruses and contagions if you're isolated. How could that not be healthy?
Everything about the last year proves you're wrong.
Well, no, there's no way you caught coronavirus if you didn't have any contact with other people, especially if you bleached your groceries. All right.
It's not really.
If you bleached your groceries, there would be some problems.
Dude, other respects. People were bleaching their groceries. I'm not making this up. This is some real shit.
Yeah, no, he's right. He's also willfully misled. Anyways, I saw a really interesting
Which one of us?
By that, I mean both. Headline where it was back in like medieval Turkey, they took all the heirs to the throne and locked them into this castle, and they call it like the prince's cage or the heir's cage or whatever. And one of the last like sultans, rulers of Turkey, was 56 years old by the time that he was ever not held in isolation. They didn't do so well because they were kept in isolation for 20, 30, 40, 56 years. It's not healthy. It's
But why didn't they do so well?
Because being held in isolation is not good for humans, for social animals. In certain countries, Nordic countries, it's illegal to only have one hamster because they're such social creatures that they consider it cruel to only have one.
It's illegal to have only one hamster in certain places.
Yes.
That's a law I have never heard of, but it's an interesting one. Well, if you live in Ecuador and you're eating them, how does that work? Would you?
Well,
You're gonna probably
sure
have
you
two at
have
a
it.
time.
Well, either that or make sure you have a date.
It's hard to
If they're-
imagine.
So
if there
but
has
so-
to be
but if-
leftovers, so
but
be it. Leave them
we
in
were
the-
encouraged over the last year to isolate as something that was good for our health. My thinking is that they're encouraging people to communicate via Zoom and other ways like that. Now, if the government is pushing people to isolate for their safety and health, that basically means that all digital correspondence can be monitored.
Well, all digital correspondence can be monitored before.
Exactly, but now it increases the percentage of correspondence that is digital and monitorable.
By what? True.
I don't think there's really a big change there. Like,
No, they already had a good backdoor into anything. So if you thought you had a sense of privacy in any of your platforms, you're wrong because you don't. So none of this changes anything.
Well, I mean, my argument against isolation is health. Is that exposure is really true health. You're gonna.
Yeah, but not when
you-
you're at. It's not when you're where we were at the beginning stages a year ago with the coronavirus. Like exposure was not the right play because you're at like 3%. You're just going to be a spreader. It didn't make sense to do exposure.
Well,
at that point, the public health better argument was contain and
well, what were the death rates from
quarantine.
people from children to 55 years old under 300 pounds? Very, very low.
Doesn't matter. It's the fact that it's so spreadable and that was airborne and that you wouldn't know it if you had it. So that's the reason why that you
and it's that the children that were at a low risk for getting infected or dying, if they got infected, would encounter other people that were higher risk and they were super infectious, and then they would put the people who were more likely to die at risk for contracting it and therefore dying.
True, I get that, but exposure builds immunity when it comes to regular, just kind of regular everyday cold, flu, that kind of stuff. And I would say that kind of humanity as a whole, since we've had air travel, is healthier.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, that which does not kill me makes me stronger is a really terrible saying.
polio.
Paralysis.
Polio doesn't make you any
exactly.
stronger.
All right.
Maybe in spirit.
I got another phrase I want to run by you, and that is obedience is safety.
In its absolute sense, it's correct.
No, it's not necessarily if the rules say that obedience means that there's a 1 in 10 chance that you get decimated, which is what decimate means. Like you can still follow the rules, but every week there's a cull.
Decimate means
It's
1 in
random.
10.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's it.
decimate 1 in 10.
Decimation came from the Roman legions, where if there was a misbehavior in the ranks or some kind of ignoble behavior from a certain squadron or whatever, then what they would do is they would kill every 10th soldier indiscriminately.
Brilliant.
Well,
I actually, I think
there are other
I have
problems
some,
that the Romans had, but
I have some notes on this.
And we're still
actually.
feeling them. We're still
Uh,
feeling them.
So look,
is COVID the
fucking-
topic for tonight? No,
fucking
Cammy
po-
Cakes, it's not, but apparently it is.
well, no,
Also Pontius Pilate, and
we're talking about 1984 and government
Okay.
monitoring and the pros and cons of government monitoring. And my
So-
thinking is that, as I was reading into AI and stuff, I was thinking like the number of cameras that are scattered everywhere. Like, what do you think if you had the percentage of cameras there were in existence, just kind of monitoring, including cell phones, 10 years ago to today?
100-fold increase.
I think that would probably be close.
too many percents to count accurately.
Yeah, I mean, there's an insane number of cameras out there, and when you introduce surveillance and AI, and who's making your cameras? Apple, Google, who else? Samsung.
LG.
But the Samsung and the LG are running through what? Google or Apple or who else?
Windows Phone.
A Windows Phone, I guess.
Nah,
Probably not.
You actually, what did
I
we
had to
learn
throw it
today?
out there.
What do we learn today? You're actually probably safe doing anything you want on Windows Phone. Nobody's monitoring those.
Is there yeah,
It's
now,
like what is
right.
on them.
you're now safer when it comes to viruses and shit like that with the Windows Phone. But what I'm saying is when you have a Google phone, Google is a huge data aggregator. Same thing with Facebook and all the apps that are integrated with the phone that are aggregating data. So you have this huge amount of monitoring. You couple that with government monitoring, cameras that are everywhere. You implement facial recognition and location tracking. And now you have this incredible insight where you can see regular behavior. You can see where people travel. You can see commonality of destination, where people go from there. Then you can start tracking common behavior. And this is where it turns into this 1984 / Minority Report. And that's kind of scary. And I don't see it not going in that direction.
Well, there's a lot of different threads to pick up on what you're talking about there. You can already get that phone information. The Washington Post did a really interesting piece where they were delivered by someone who somehow had access to it, the anonymized phone ping data showing all the different Capitol rioters inside the Capitol and going out, and they were able to like trace them to their homes, like find out who they were.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is in Chicago, you had a guy who was 25, 26, and he got pinged by an AI program saying that he was either, and how do you like this being warned by the police? You're either likely to be shot or be on the other end shooting someone. And our AI program tells you there's a 99% chance that this is going to happen. So 3 cops roll up and a couple other guys roll up to his house and they start talking to him. They leave. And then all the people in the neighborhood start asking him, why are the fucking cops talking to you? It's like, I didn't do anything. They just showed up. Guess what? A few months later, people think he's a snitch and he gets shot.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly. It's
that's the premise of the movie Minority Report, is that the guy's kind of set up.
But this happened a couple of years ago and he got shot again. Like, this is
They didn't kill him the first time?
No, they didn't. They got him in the knee.
That's unfortunate.
Why? No, that's not cool, man. This guy's life got totally destroyed by an AI program. I get you're making a joke, but like, this is
No, but
they stopped the program and shit. But seriously, we're turning too much over to automation. But this ties back into the automated industries and basic income things that are all tied together, because everything's being automated to the point that there's no human interaction at this point. We just let programs say, do this, and we click that box.
If anybody's watching, there is a call-in number. If you have some questions you want to ask us about the future, It's in the Instagram feed. It's a 212 number. You can text that and we can bring you on in a call-in. So what my thinking is, if you have this mass data collection, you're following people's behaviors, and you're able to find some behaviors that could indicate possible crime, or there might be somebody who has similar behaviors as you do, who is committing crimes, which may indicate that you are likely to be committing those crimes, which is exactly kind of what we're talking about. But is that a bad thing?
Well, I really like how a lot of the different people have been arrested. Again, I'm just going to lean back on the Capitol protests from January 6th. A lot of the people that have been arrested are being arrested because of the stuff that they posted on their own social media, or their spouses or partners or boyfriends or girlfriends did. So it's really, really, I mean, I really enjoy it personally, seeing these people get arrested for it because they posted about it. And then they say in court, no, I didn't do any of that. And then like the prosecution like plays the video, like, oh shit, yeah, I was like kicking the cops. So the social media, the amount of that people post on themselves. There's a case just the last couple of days out of England where a drug dealer posted a picture and it was just him holding cheese. But because he posted a clear enough picture, they're able to ID his fingerprints and link him to different drug crimes. Yep.
That's wild. That's why I want to hit some quick TikTok
On the
comments.
photographs of the cheese, they were able to pull a fingerprint off the cheese.
He was holding.
No, they could see the fingerprints.
Cheese was.
They could see his fingerprints clear enough,
outside of the cheese, like right, holding the cheese.
Let me hit some TikTok comments. Hold on one second.
Holding it.
Yeah, no, I follow you.
They burn the tires off, leaving the factory to seal the rubbers so it won't leak oil. They burn the tires off when so he's saying
tires don't have anything to do with the oil.
Well, I think they mean like they take off or something in they rev up the engine or something like that in the factory to seal your gaskets and stuff inside the engine. I assume that's what Sundance Moon is trying to say. He also said the Rivian full battery powered truck goes from 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, and it hits 100 in 7 seconds.
Well, the Ford F-150 Lightning is actually pretty interesting.
The Lightning one is like the crazy ass one, right?
No, that's the new electric only. That's coming out next year. It's a full electric pickup truck.
You're thinking of the Raptor.
No, I'm thinking of I'm talking about the Lightning.
No, Justin.
I must be thinking of the Raptor. Yeah, James.
I can't. James, I can't point on a fucking webcam like which one I'm talking to. I don't know what to do with my hands.
Let me ask you guys a question. On your phones, do you have location services enabled?
Yeah.
I kind of like being able to go back to Google Maps and figure out where I was. And you can follow the calendar. It shows locationally where you were, and it just shows this little line that
Look, if I'm going to kill a hooker, that's going to be planned out, and I'll turn the phone off ahead of time. In the meantime, I'm fine.
Well, just don't bring your phone with you. That way, you've got an alibi. I'm like, yeah, I was at home the whole time.
All right, let's see. Some other things I want to. I was at home, not sending any text messages or even looking at my phone.
Well, if you're really smart, you have somebody else sending text messages from your phone.
So you have an accomplice.
Yeah, but
I could actually probably just call into this show with like a tape recorder. It's like, hey guys, video's broken, and just a tape recorder that every 3 or 4 minutes says, Justin, that's a really stupid idea, and it would actually probably hold up.
Fucking ironclad.
All right. So look, we were talking about AI tracking people, and the AI that basically got the guy shot, really, because people thought he was a snitch.
Got shot hard.
He got shot hard. They shot me hard.
I was thinking about that yesterday.
He shot me hard. That was Lady Gaga's dog walker, which I hear there have been some arrests in the Lady Gaga dog walker.
Yeah, the
saga.
woman who dropped the dogs off, she was part of it the whole time. We called it.
She was in on it.
Yeah.
No shit, duh. You know that would be the way to do it. Like,
Yeah, I'll be back in a second. I told you I was going to make it halfway through.
all right. Well, so David, so what are your thoughts on AI and warfare? Because I was reading something about how it would be such a terrible thing that a trigger gets pulled and it's not pulled by another human. So there's basically a computer program making a decision to pull the trigger and kill somebody else, or certain missile strikes based off of whatever AI designates the missile should shoot to. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a loaded question, not because it's not a fair question, just because there's too many answers. Let's say we're talking about a loaded drone that's following a soldier. He's crawling through some house in some place, and he's pointing the gun at someone. And oh shit, there's a terrorist behind him about to shoot him in the back of the head. The drone thing turns around, shoots, kills him because it's like his protection. What do you think about that? I don't know. Like, is that the same as autonomous drones going out and bombing a house? Or is that little flying thing flying over the soldier and like protecting him from the behind? I don't. It's a complex issue.
Wait, so you're saying there's a soldier who's moving forward,
Going through a house, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He has a little drone flying ahead of right on top of him. He doesn't see that there's someone behind him who's about to shoot him in the back of the head. The drone does, because it has LiDAR and all that fancy Tesla shit, because Elon Musk is now the Secretary of Defense. It's a really crazy world. 4 years from now, it's going to be fucked up, man. Give it time. Give it time.
He just needs to fly to Mars.
So wait, so what happened? So
the drone turns around and it shoots and kills the bad guy who's going to kill our valiant American soldier.
Okay, and that's how's that
autonomously?
How would that be a bad thing? What's the
I'm not saying it is.
Well,
holes in the programming where it misassesses a threat.
Exactly. I'm not saying that what happens there is a bad thing, but
so what I posed,
AI,
James,
there's no accountability.
Was there? Yeah, there's limited accountability. The accountability is, I guess, on the programmer of the program at the end.
Yeah, good luck suing him.
Or yeah, exactly. It's not going to happen. Or the people that
he works for the government technically, and he has immunity.
Or the people that okayed that program.
Technically, the best kind.
So,
and also, what are you doing with your drink?
It's the ice cube. There was a little ice cube in there. I put the new ice cube in. The big ice cube is stuck on top of the little ice cube. There was already some liquor in there. I wasn't going to stick my finger in. So now I just have a giant ice cube sticking out 2 inches above the top of my cup. So I just got to wait before I drink it, which is probably not a bad idea.
It's not in the spirit of this cast.
It is not.
3 weeks ago, you brag about not washing your hands after using the bathroom, and now you won't use your fingers.
I don't wash my hands. I give them a rinse out of courtesy for others. I want other people to
not
know.
For yourself.
That. No, well,
Have you ever known him to have much respect for himself?
No, I've seen the decisions he makes.
So hear me out though. So what I'm posing is, should it always be a live human person responsible directly for taking the life of another live human person?
Yes.
So you should never have AI pulling a trigger.
Yes.
Okay. No. What if your opponent is using AI and you just can't keep up?
You find a way of defeating the AI.
I disagree with James. I think that's justified.
I think that's much more, much more difficult.
Do you think about how fucking terrifying Vietnam would have been for skinny fucks like James and I, 18, 19? We would have been those little foxhole crawlers, and the traps that they had in those things.
There's spiders in there.
Vicious. There were spiders. There were spikes covered, as you know, in feces, among other things.
Poo.
Poison. Other different horrible ways to trap you in there and let you die really, really slowly. So No, I don't really want to do that kind of stuff. And if you can tell me that if I had to do that stuff and I had like this little drone that was gonna like cover me and keep an eye out for that shit, and
Yeah,
if
but the
someone's
drone's not
behind-
killing anybody. The drone's just exploring.
No, if someone is behind me and pointing a gun at me, and they see that and they shoot them because it was another Viet Cong, who I still keep an eye out for.
I would want that drone controlled by a person.
Yeah, I don't trust people, man.
But you may. How many people are you going to have?
James, how long did I spend with a referee crew that I didn't know before doing like a U14 or U16 game? A game that means nothing, it's rec league, and I'd still spend half an hour making them talk about that. That's how much I spent on something that means nothing. If we're talking about my relationship with the person doing that, we don't pay our military enough. I don't trust what they're getting paid to pay attention strongly enough.
The difference is that when you were talking with your U14 crew, you had no idea what their training was. When I work professional games and I'm working with other people that I know have as much or more training than me, then we don't need to go through the basics. We go through the advanced shit. We skip straight to chapter 10 instead of going through chapter 1 through 9.
Well, it just comes down to a question of, at that point, how much can you scale that up? Of how much can you have a master spending their entire time following someone in the field?
But how many people are you going to have live monitoring the drones when you have so many drones? Because then you're kind of defeating the purpose of having the drones in this mass warfare. We got on TikTok.
Well,
we got a high from Casablanca. So high in Casablanca. But you know, I think at a certain point when it comes to warfare, shit's going to get crazy. And I think, you know, China is really trying to race us in this technology, almost technological Cold War type situation where you can shut down entire governments with.
It will never become a hot war between China and the United States.
And why is that?
Because it would cost both countries more than it would ever be worth.
Yeah, but I don't know about that because right now China makes a lot of their money from us. But,
so why would they want to go to war with us when we would never?
Well, what if they don't need the revenue from external countries?
But they always will.
Why is that? Because
what's their economy based on?
Manufacturing, yeah, but
where do they sell that manufacturing?
Sure, exactly. But when we get to this universal basic income situation where people don't have to work, and what's happening with manufacturing? It's becoming more and more difficult, and more roboticized and automated.
Right, and
so it's not
pioneering roboticizing of manufacturing. I can think of 3 countries.
Well, I imagine that China is, which means they're putting themselves out of business. They're putting themselves out of business. So what's going to happen is you're going to have.
Was there a soccer game or a referee match?
Or
a boxing match? A boxing match.
Yeah.
These are actually both referee jerseys. Yeah. Regionals 2010.
Yeah, this is Southern Regionals Region 3 2009.
That was not requested, but thank you for the information.
Fuck off.
Since when do we care about your opinion?
Whose show do you think this is?
So look, but I think that China in that respect is putting themselves out of business because they're going to have all these people that are going to be out of work. So
they're going to find a purpose for them.
I hear Xinjiang is like really popping.
Oh man,
that's the territory in the north where they're imprisoning all the Muslims.
Is Xinjiang province the Uyghur problem?
Xinjiang's, yeah, that's the Uyghur problem. I just like how you take the party line. we have to deal with the Uyghur problem.
All
No,
right,
like,
so
yeah,
let's move on to guns in Texas, guys.
Plowing ahead.
Plowing through
laser focus.
laser focus here. So Texas legalizes concealed carry weapons. Is that accurate?
Non-concealed
Concealed
carry
carry,
weapons.
not-
Open carry.
Open carry. Okay.
without
pretty
any
sure that, like-
licensing or education or classes or anything.
So what's the difference between open carry and concealed carry? That I'm curious about.
I'm not going to explain this to you. You should.
I'm
Well,
gonna
how
let you,
are
I'm gonna
you
let sound that one out?
That means, I mean,
No, sound it up. Sound it up.
Yeah, just repeat that question to yourself.
We're gonna give you 20 seconds.
all right.
James and I aren't gonna say anything. Just
I
say
appreciate your internal humor, but unless you're carrying a handgun in your hand, it's got to be holstered somewhere.
yes,
Alright.
but is it concealed?
So take the next step.
or is it unconcealed?
Yeah. So is it on the outside of your hip
Okay.
or is it concealed somewhere?
Okay. So unless you're wearing this James Bond vest to hold your weapon, it's legal to hold it anywhere.
No, most people, if you're gonna do a open carry, then you're gonna have it's gonna be on your belt. It's gonna be on your waist.
Yeah, it's
So it's
almost
on your
always going to
waist,
be like a belt holster
on
of
your
some sort.
waist, on
Now-
your waist, or against your breast, in your breast pocket, or concealed in a pant pocket, which is a really, 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 really stupid place.
So, but if it's in your pants pocket or in your waistband under your shirt, that would qualify as concealed.
Correct.
Yes, it's
Okay.
concealed by your waistband and or shirt.
So basically, where your shirt falls on the weapon tucked into your waistband is
It
going to
depends on-
determine.
All right, the whole point is
Gabby
whether or not you're
Torch,
trying to hide
None of us
the
have
fact.
concealed weapons carry permits.
Yes,
Because none of us-
I get that, but I just think
I'm
that
responding to comments.
Yeah. It's the question of whether or not you're displaying that you are carrying a gun or not. If someone can see it openly, then that is open carry versus concealed carry, where I can look at you and, I mean, unless you're an idiot, which is a lot of the same people who have a gun that's too big for whatever they're trying to do, and you can see the outline of it, I shouldn't be able to see it for concealed carry. And there's different licensing depending on the state.
so you can carry a handgun anywhere in Texas. Ideally, your shirt falls on the inside of it rather than the outside of it. But I really think it's unlikely the police are going to give that much of a fuck. So
I'm pretty sure that Texas is just like now an open carry state, and there's no classes that you have to take, no licensing, nothing.
That's correct.
exactly. And I think we're going to run a little trial and see how gun violence works in Texas over the next year or two. What are your predictions?
It's always been a bad state. I mean, but everything's been bad everywhere. We just had 9 people shot dead in Santa Cruz in California.
San Jose.
San Jose. Thank
An
you.
hour from you.
Yeah. It was 2 months ago that we had 10 shots 50 yards from my apartment door. Violent. My friend in Oakland sold her
10 people
house.
got shot?
10 shots were fired.
Oh, okay. I was gonna be like,
They were
Bad
really
aim.
bad about it, though. Yeah, no, horrible aim. Because here's the thing: the cops, they came, they found all the casings, but they couldn't find any holes. They couldn't find any holes in the vehicles, in any of the buildings nearby, in the ground. Like we don't know where they shot, and no one showed up to the hospital, so they just missed. I don't know. James, Colleen, she moved out of Oakland because the gun violence there is so terrible. There was a party bus with like 12 women on it, and they like turned off of the highway and they got followed and they got shot 70 times, like 70 bullet holes at least in the van. The amount of
That
violent
was
crime
somebody that had some real crazy FOMO. Holy shit.
Yeah, they saw like all these girls like on their fun birthday party thing. Like, you know what?
it's not an episode of Girls Gone Wild I want to watch.
You know what? He must have had a bad day.
Oh man, I like that callback. As
All right,
tragic
thank you.
as it is.
Oh yeah, none of this is Dwight. We don't do happy go lucky.
Yeah, but I really think that we're going to see gun violence in Texas really skyrocket. And
No, we won't.
I'm curious. So you don't think that we will?
Yeah,
Because
I
my
think
it's already
question
high.
is, my
It's not
question, yeah,
gonna go
sure,
anywhere.
it was already high, but now the nation is tracking it, and there's gonna be a lot more media attention on it.
They were tracking it
And
before.
on a Sunday afternoon in the shopping mall in 2019, how much gun violence was there? Well, how many people were carrying guns versus 2021 in the shopping mall on a Sunday afternoon? How many people are carrying guns?
So here's the issue: is if you have some kind of an event where somebody starts shooting on people, and you've got a gun on your hip,
I know where
and
you're going with this. So
your intentions are good. You want to prevent other innocent people from getting shot. And now you're not the only person who has a gun on their hip that wants to prevent other innocent people from getting shot. So now 10 of you all pull out your weapons at the same time, all with good intentions of saying, we don't want any more innocent people to get shot. But now there's 11 of you that have a gun
and let's
out.
say nobody has actually a visual of the actual shooter.
So let's just imagine that I'm the person who started shooting, and there's 10 other people that hear the shooting and pull up their guns trying to stop me. How
But
do
no
those
one-
other 10 people know who the problem person is? It's really, really difficult, especially in an extremely stressful and chaotic environment.
for people who have zero training whatsoever.
Are there? I wonder if there's any cases of someone trying to protect the public, shooting someone else trying to protect the public.
Oh,
There are actually.
scores.
But can we find any? Because I'm really curious.
I'm sure we can. We
Yeah.
had a really
Not
fun
at this very second.
Please find it, and because I'd like to discuss that
Research
with you.
department, get working.
Yeah, go Rush. We had a really fun helicopter event the other night where they were blasting some important safety message out of a helicopter, and I could have told you what it said, but they're playing it from a goddamn helicopter, so one of those things overshadowed the speaker. Anywho, looked up the
There was a
website, and it
helicopter
said,
with a there was a loud ass helicopter
Speaker.
with a speaker aiming downwards from it.
broadcasting somewhat laterally. It was directional because I could hear it better when it was pointed towards a building near me, so it could bounce off, but not like actually at me. Anyways, it was talking about a man in his mid to late 30s with a large knife to machete, wearing football pads and a red or orange shirt. And all I could think of was the only thing that could stop a man in shoulder pads with a machete is a good guy with a shoulder pads.
The idea of wearing
With
shoulder
thicker shoulder
pads.
pads.
The idea of wearing
Never
shoulder
caught.
pads.
He got away.
I'd like to. I'm curious whether there's not more people that just wear shoulder pads and walk around like kind of crazy badasses.
Yo,
Where can you
it'll
buy
make you look
shoulder
more
pads?
confident. Broad shoulders.
I would
Uh,
definitely say shoulder pads, like football style shoulder
Come-
pads, should really come into fashion.
I mean,
You-
look
you-
at
you
like
should-
women's power suits in the late 80s. They
That's what I'm
they
thinking.
came into like a business meeting looking like fucking linebackers.
Yeah, so I'm
That was the original Karen outfit.
if you
saw
want,
that
like,
It
coming.
was.
I
Fucking
see
back
people
off,
trying.
man.
I see people trying to look badass, like in the streets, and I've never seen anybody with football pads on in the streets. So, I
There's
would
probably some homeless people that you've ignored.
no.
Well,
no,
I literally just gave you an anecdote about a guy in football pads and how he made helicopter news.
Millie Vanilli wore shoulder pads. Didn't work out that great for them.
where can you just buy
Nothing did.
shoulder pads, or are they usually
Yes,
provided by?
you don't need a prescription.
Well, I can't think
Yeah.
of a store that I've been into that sells football shoulder pads. I've never
Have
been
you
to.
walked into a sports supply store?
I've
Not
never
lately.
seen them. I've never seen them at Dick's. I've never seen them at
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't
at
sell the
Walmart.
shit that you're wearing right now at Dick's.
Well, maybe
This is a real
It's
on
not the
brand.
not
Yeah, the
Dick's
same
Sporting
one.
Goods.
Not the same one.
Uh,
He looks like Dario Rutia, baby ref. Like all these like tight shirts.
It's
Yeah,
gonna,
but
it's gonna be a
Dario
drunken,
Urrutia was somehow straighter.
it's gonna be a
Jesus
drunken
Christ.
shoulder workout
I
after
said somehow.
this podcast.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
What, somehow?
No,
So-
a drunken shoulder workout.
Oh, yeah.
So, what else are your thoughts? What other thoughts do you have on 1984?
I think we're already doing it. Think about all the videos you've seen of people having public meltdowns. Like you can't be. We talked about this the other week about people always videotaping everything. Everything's recorded. We're already there, and we can push that further. And we can go to China with their social credit system, where if you're caught littering, then guess what? You just lost the opportunity to fly to the other part of the country to see your family because you got degraded in your social credit points.
I would say the last 4 years with the like we have always been at war with East Eurasia, and then as soon as like think about the inclination that Trump had towards China, where on like a bi-weekly basis it would be starting some kind of a trade war with China, and then the next cycle it would be praising the strength of like their leader, their prime minister.
You say by
And-
weekly, do you mean 2 or 4 weeks? Because it can actually mean both.
I mean, like
Stupid.
every
I know, it's
other week.
But I'm
It's a really
curious where
stupid word.
I'm curious where you're going
2
with
or
that.
4.
Thank you.
What I'm
David.
saying is that, like,
1 or 2.
what were the two nations that it was Eurasia and what was the other one?
Well, Eurasia is not a nation.
Yeah.
No,
the
no, no. I'm
nation of
talking about
Eurasia.
in the novel 1984. It was
Oh, yeah, some kind of yeah.
Okay, but where are you going with the Trump thing? Because I'm curious.
He's going something back to 1984.
what I'm saying is that I'm trying to tie 1984 to what we saw during the Trump era, where like we have always been at war with Eurasia, and then I can't remember. Fuck, I really can't remember the other like nation state that the character lived in that they were in war with, because they would say we've always been at war with Eurasia and we've always been at war with like South Eurasia. I'm just making something up. And
Okay.
so it would be like we're at war with South Eurasia and we've always been at war with South Eurasia. And then like at some point in the future, they'd say, well, we're at war with Eurasia and we've always been at war. And it was the same thing with China, where the Trump administration would be like, we're imposing these trade sanctions on China, and we've always been opposed to the things that China are doing. And then 2 weeks later, Trump would meet with Xi Jinping and say, China's doing all these great things, and we want to build a partnership with them, and they're a big, powerful nation, and we want to do these things. So they're going to be an ally of us because we need to move forward together. And then 2 weeks later, it'd be like, yeah, more trade
And
sanctions on China.
why do you think this was happening?
Well, one theory is that Trump was constantly coked up on Adderall throughout his presidency, which made him prone to occasional outbursts. Well, not occasional, constant.
Another theory is that Trump was enamored with dictators, and anytime he met with a dictator, he immediately loved everything that they did. And then when he came back to the United States, he realized what the focus groups were saying about the United States autonomy in the global economy. He was like, all right, fine, I gotta shit on China.
No, I think you have a very I think that's very likely. I think that he was a bit enamored with dictatorship and the sheer power that these other world leaders had over.
Who are the people that he was most in favor with? Putin,
People who
Kim
are
Jong-il,
effectively CEOs
Xi
of
Jinping,
massive countries and defense
and
industries.
Erdogan of Turkey.
So like people that he sees as similar to himself that control all of this, where he sees himself not as his paper tiger, which he is, but he sees himself on their level, like, Saudi Arabia, Bin Salman, really, really, really cool with the assassination of the Washington Post reporter. But yeah, he sees himself as one of those strong guys, but he's such a wuss.
So,
He
and
wanted
the
to, but he couldn't.
last thing I want to get into is as civil unrest rises, as we arm more Americans, how does the U.S. and how do governments in the future deal with uprising from the people and unrest from the people, increased number of protests, because protests are only going to grow. And we've seen with social media, with Twitter, with Facebook, the growth and the speed in which people can gather in masses and push back on the government. And I think January 6th was a great example of that, but really,
I wouldn't say great.
well, think about when we talk about global warming and storms and things like that, and you have a Hurricane Sandy. I'm going to call it a Hurricane Sandy of protests, and I think it's a really big indicator of where things can go in the future. As it is big now, but ultimately it could be a small blip of, when we put it in contrast with potential future events.
Where are you going with this?
Flash mobs are supposed to be fun and whimsical.
Sure.
Their flash mobs are cruel and tragic.
Which makes them not really flash mobs at
So
all.
flash mobs where people are proposing to each other and they're singing and they're dancing and it's fun.
Are
and-
tragic and cruel.
and probably very gay and diverse. Okay, that's a flash mob for you. That's New York City. Now you have a flash mob in Texas where they're overweight, they're gun-toting, they're angry, and probably mostly white.
Well, I think the more appropriate word to use, flash mob is really quick to associate with, blitzkrieg, flash war. So let's just call it blitz mob. We can just go ahead and call it.
No, but
blitzkrieg.
flash mob is typically a bunch of people jumping up and singing.
Typically, right?
That's
up until
what
they
it
storm
means.
The Capitol.
That's what it means. But for the same way that those things
Songs
can
that were
happen,
singing in the Capitol weren't quite the same.
exactly. So what I'm thinking is that these are going to continue to grow, be much more in regularity. And when you have somebody like Trump who's sitting behind a keyboard or a smartphone typing away, and then you have other people that see how easily that works, I think it's going to get worse.
Maybe.
I don't see how it couldn't. Over the next 8 to 12 years, I think we're going to see a lot more. I think we're going to have to increase security big time. For something, just think about how it is when you're in the financial district, downtown Manhattan. You can't even park now on the streets. Whereas pre 9/11, you could park everywhere on the streets. But now there's an incredible amount of security. Think about airports. Pre 9/11, you could walk into an airport. You could walk up to the terminal doors with your friends and loved ones, hug them and say goodbye. Now you can't even stop your car for an extended amount of time to unload luggage. So what I'm saying is, how's that going to affect the landscape now that, in government buildings or in schools or, wherever it might be, where you can have this flash mob of armed citizens who are unruly and pissed. Because I think we're going to see that happening more often, in the same respect that we argue for, superstorms and floodings and things like that. We're saying, oh, well, Hurricane Sandy was a one-off, but it's much more likely to happen now. January 6th was a one-off, but it is much more likely to happen now. What do we do?
Well, it's much more likely to happen if we don't do anything about it.
My biggest issue.
And my question was, what can we do about it?
Normalized everything. It normalized all this bigotry, misogyny, and racism, and it just made it okay to say out loud what people used to keep to themselves. And they used to keep people in line. But he just made it okay to say the subtle things out loud. And he started with his fucking stroll down the escalator by talking about all the rapists coming from Mexico. Like, he didn't start off on like an amicable foot.
No,
That's never his thing.
I will give you one benefit of Biden is he is pretty boring. And
I like boring.
Government, flip to C-SPAN, like that's pretty damn boring.
That's what government should be. Is fucking boring.
It shouldn't make you want to stay up until 1 a.m. to find out what your fucking government is doing, to find out whether or not we defaulted on our bonds or not. Like, that's fucked up. It should run smoothly. You shouldn't want to pay attention to it. But they're fucking it up so badly that we have to because they're fucking it up so badly. Stupid.
All right. Well,
Jane Hort
That's-
says, I would let you all hit this. I'm not really sure what that's in reference to.
take a wild guess.
I have no idea. I really don't. It could be the booze.
That explains some things. On that note, is there anything else you guys wanted to bring up about 1984, about speed governing on vehicles, about AI before we wrap? Or is there anybody who's listening who has questions about AI or speed monitoring on vehicles? You know, I think the fact that I could take a car and not instantly, but over the course of several seconds, increase speed to over 100 miles an hour and just drive around completely unregulated, to me now seems like a wild thing.
If you
Population control.
If you found a large enough cliff, it wouldn't matter what kind of car you're in or the speed controls. You could hit over 100 miles an hour without controlling the vehicle.
She had an injection seat.
The vehicle would still hit over 100 if it's high enough. 9.5 meters per second squared.
Yeah.
Sure, but not if they put guardrails on all the roads. Then you're really fucked, David.
Still 9.5 meters per second squared.
Yeah, you can punch the guardrail pretty easily.
I actually watched a video about all the guard. This is how exciting my life is. But I watched a vehicle about all the guardrail technology, and it is really impressive.
Really impressive.
But imagine a world where all of your vehicles are locked to the roads. You can't go off road because a lot of vehicles aren't built to go off road. Imagine your vehicle. You're in an automatic driving vehicle. When I was in Sweden, I had downloaded a map, and then I left the airport. I left the Wi-Fi in the rental car, and I went to my destination, or I attempted to go to my destination, but there was a new development, and the roads had been altered, and I could not find my way to figure out where the hell I was going. I had to stop, and luckily in Sweden, people speak decent amount of English. So,
so what are you asking? That the car would actually take you there automatically?
Well, if you're in a self-driving vehicle.
Okay, but here's the counterpoint: is that the self-driving vehicle has nothing to do with it. It's the infrastructure that is behind it. So if the GPS told you driving the car, I don't know where the fuck I'm going. What do you think is going to tell the self-driving car? I still don't know where the fuck I'm going.
What I'm saying is that self-driving cars cannot drive beyond the map. Lake.
Trust me.
Self-driving cars cannot drive beyond the map. So if we're regulating cars, we're governing speeds, at a certain point, cars may not be able to drive. Certain vehicles may not be able to drive off of certain roads. You may not be able to drive down a gravel road because it's just not allowed.
It's going to really hurt Jeep's business model.
It is definitely going to hurt Jeep's business model. There's going to be
more than Jeep's business model.
You're going to have
believe it or not, yes.
I wonder how Jeep drivers feel about electric vehicles. You know, because they
have the new electric Jeep, which is weird, but that's actually kind of cool.
Jeep has an electric vehicle?
Yeah, they have an electric fucking Jeep. Think about that torque, man.
I was torque was the first thing that
puddle at high speed.
Yeah, Justin just made a puddle in his shorts thinking about that.
That actually makes me want to take this thing for a test drive. On that note, though, guys, we've
I have to clean up.
Look, it cuts off here. Like, actually, it cuts off like here. You're good.
What?
He still has to clean up.
Yeah, but nobody has to know about it.
He'll know.
Thank you guys for joining. I'm gonna go try to do a shoulder workout. I may drop some
after he cleans up.
But thank everybody for joining, and please subscribe on YouTube. Please subscribe on audio podcast. We will see you next time We thrive off your ideas. And this is an idea from a link that somebody sent me today. So keep sending your ideas, DM, and we'll see you guys next time. All right. Adios, everybody.
Hasta luego.
All right, that concludes this episode. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you made it to the end. Let me know in the comments if you read the book 1984 and what your thoughts on that and our podcast were. I would love to know. Thank you, guys.
I like PBR. I just got priced out of it.